I mean, if it's out there, you might as well enjoy it, you know? If it's out there, you might as well enjoy it.
You'll never get the sex option. You simply just won't.
Okay.
So when people say it's needed, and if the Silent Hill remake doesn't make
Oh,
those
for
characters look
sure.
like they're made of 1% flesh and 99% silicone, then it will fail, you're off on some good shit, give me a hit. So immediately, it goes to show that it's not needed. However, does it make a game more money? Is it a surefire way to make cash and are developers stupid for not doing it? And I think the answer to that is a little complicated. So to get to the answer, let's look at some games to see if fan service could be correlated to success or money.
Okay.
And in doing so, it would answer a question on if this is something players want to see. Starting off with the Genshin Impact, does it beat the allegations of just appealing to horny teenagers without having much substance to stand on its own 2 feet? Best way to break this down is to go over how it succeeded and why some banners brought in more money than a country's GDP. And why others flopped.
Okay.
Yet still pulled in fucking 5 million. So as we all know, the game dropped and Frame 1, the first banner, pulled in 30 million USD, which is kinda insane, but when has Genshin surpassed that launch banner's revenue?
Many
It had a
times.
great start, but what brought it to the next level in terms of metrics?
Okay.
What has been the catalyst? To start
OP meta units and fan service.
we're checking this out, let's look at the banner revenue. Now this data is from Genshin Labs and is an estimate of the CN revenue, so I'm not saying this is 1,000,000% accurate. In truth, the revenue numbers are more
'Cause
than
it's
likely
not.
higher, but it gives us a good estimate. So only 8 banners have surpassed the launch limited banner. Eliane and Xiao, then Raiden
Oh boy. Xiao and Yalan. Okay.
solo banner.
I have no idea who any of those are. By the way, I've never played Genshin. I know nothing
Because we can't track money.
game related about Genshin.
So it's psychotic to think of how much money they're really making. It's scary.
Explains why everyone
Very
being
true.
boasted about her being the equivalent to a pack
And all of the ones are just reruns.
of withering toothpicks if you don't have her at C2. Raiden and Kokumi's rerun, Nahida's first banner,
How many people lost weapon pools? Easily spent like 10 to 15k on her. I watched a video on him losing a weapon. I don't know if that's the weapon in question, but I'm guessing based on the money and the amount of pulling that he did in that video. He lost 5 times on the weapon, then yeah, that's definitely the video then. Okay. I did not know that that was Hu Tao's weapon. Tao? Hu Tao maybe? I don't know. Okay.
She was paired with Yoimiya. Sorry to say, Yoimiya fans, Nahida probably carried that one. Ayaka's rerun, didn't know she had that big of a fan base. Ayaka and Shenhei.
Bro, the first how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The first 6 are all reruns. Oh my god. Number 7 and number 9. 8 times for Staff of Homa. That's the weapon. That's what I'm talking about the video. Staff of Homa. Yep. That's what I'm talking about. So maybe not the thing that you're referencing. Is Wolves Greystone looking good though? Okay. Bro, first rerun, second rerun. Oh my. Second rerun? Wait a minute, I just noted this. Second rerun is doing these numbers. This is like, how much is this gonna be? $34 million? This is probably gonna be, okay dude, that's a lot.
I feel like Ayaka carried that, but they
Okay.
do have really good synergy, so it makes sense it popped off. Raiden and Ayato, that's the third Raiden banner up here, and the one that has a gigantic gap at the top is Hu Tao and Yalan's dual banner.
Oh, there it
Now,
is.
at the top,
Wait.
you'll love to see, has a gigantic gap at the top is Hu Tao and
The second rerun did $32 million. A second rerun. $32 million. Oh my god, but that's Yalan. Oh my god, obviously, since there's Yalan. Holy shit. OP character, got it. Bro. Alright, I see. I see, okay. Damn. Okay.
and Yalan's dual banner.
Fucking
Hu
nuts.
Tao at the top, you'll love to see it. And I'm not surprised this is the top banner. This was Hu Tao's second rerun and it took over a year since her first rerun to drop.
Okay.
Pair that up with the fact
Which
she's
is
also pretty
crazy
nice at
'cause she's,
C1.
like,
Yalan is one of her
super
best
boring to
supports, also
play.
nice at C1 as well. Fucking Xing Cho is on the banner and oh, yeah. Both of
She
their
is
weapons are godlike.
ridiculously
I'm
fucking
not
cute,
surprised
though.
it's pulled in 46 million. Hell, I rolled on the banner to get my Hutao.
Okay,
But
Tectone.
looking at these banners,
Alright.
I've come to a realization. The realization is that I feel like most of them popped off because the units themselves are just good for gameplay.
She used to be fun. Oh,
Venti
yeah,
aside,
absolutely.
Yeah.
the starting banner will just do well. That's how it is for most gachas.
Okay.
But it is important to note that people were high-key glazing him on the
And
release of the
Yelan
game,
is a
saying
hot
that he was one of
mommy.
the best
Oh
units.
my god,
Granted,
okay.
they
Got
also
it.
said that about the Luke, and
Got it.
well, time showed both of them motherfuckers.
Not only is she
But
broken, but she's also a hot mommy. Got it.
In the meta. Well, in some cases had, as newer units have power crept some of
Where is she?
them, like Arlecchino being seen as better than Hu Tao. But for the many years before Alfredo was released, Hu Tao was seen as a meta-dominant unit. Though you
Sure.
can maybe exclude Raiden, as on her release there was a ton of Doom posting on if she was really good without
Oh my god.
C2.
She was busted
Granted,
as
we
fuck
now have
without it.
Hyperbloom teams for her, so
Okay.
even at C0 she is really damn good. But again, looking at when she launched, there was debate on her viability as a main DPS. I'd say she still was considered to be a good unit, but not at the levels of the other banners up there, like Hu Tao and Ayaka. And in
Nah,
terms
she
of
was
fan
busted at
service,
C0,
I'ma
didn't
just say it.
matter.
I don't think many of these characters are. Of course, they all have fans. I mean, just look at the number of artworks that have been made for them. But I don't feel
Okay.
like any of them are the type of, well, Azure Lane, Girls Frontline 2, Nikke type of fan service. Don't ask me why I knew all those games. All the characters up
Okay.
there are just largely lovable characters. Now, I'm not saying that all fans love them due to personality. Hell, I've seen Genshin fans.
Well, the other thing is that
Oh.
the more you love a character for their personality, the more you are to form parasocial tendencies with the PNG, the more likely you are to go to R34 and look up Hu Tao getting butt fucked by a miniature. It's almost a bonus to the game that they make these characters be so lovable while being very barely risque whatsoever, because it makes people enjoy who they are more,
Eh?
which makes them want to fuck them because they can't get the loot in game, which means
Alright. Okay. Alright, I see how Genshin works now.
well, it keeps the game very relevant on social media, which also draws people back into the game. It's a self-feeding loop of relevancy and, well, gooning, to be honest.
But I'm saying that they're not exactly cardboard cutouts that look
Okay.
nice. The only two I'd say that don't have any lovable traits, and I will be crucified for saying this, but the two would be Raiden and Kokomi. Straight up, at first, Raiden's
Wait, what?
crucified for saying this, but the two would be Raiden and Kokomi. Straight up,
Eh.
at first, Raiden's personality was only slightly more complex than a titty mouse pad. Kokomi isn't doing much better either. And
I absolutely agree. Raiden, Shogun, and Kokomi's personality is pretty much 0%. The best, most developed character, personality-wise, is Farina, and it's not even close.
Okay.
Farina is the best character in all of Genshin Impact, and honestly, if they had her more relevant in the story, I would probably still be playing till today. Every single Farina chapter I played or watched, and I don't think they're ever going to make another character like her.
And
Basically
Inazuma's
works
story
in
was
any
easily the
gacha
worst out
game.
of any post-launch region. It was a fairly low
What
time
Tecton was
for the
talking
game,
about,
so
the
I don't think a unit that got good
self-making-
revenue just from fan service,
The
Psycho?
I'd say them two fall
I can
into
see that.
category. Raiden more so though, as on her release banner she had no character. Keep in mind, we didn't get her second character quest, the one that actually gave her character, until 5 months after her release. Pair that up with the fact that Inazuma's story wasn't well received and she wasn't being touted as an absolute must-pull top-tier unit unless she was at C2, then out of all the banners up there, I'd say hers was the most driven by fan service. I mean, just look at her
Sure.
alt. If I absolutely had to pick a banner that was carried by fan service, Raiden's
Yeah,
fits
you
the best.
want to be
'Cause
the
when you
sword.
take the fact that she wasn't being touted as a god in gameplay,
Or-
and at the
oh
time
my-
her character was less complex than a Rubik's Cube, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that generating 33 million came from other huge aspects.
Yeah, it's fucking
Except
psychotic.
for her repeat banners. As with those, we saw how good she
The
could be
R?
at C0 with
Oh,
Hyperbloom
okay,
Team,
yeah, yeah.
why then
Got
we had
it.
more story for her.
Okay,
So there was
new
no reason
rule,
to roll.
okay.
Though if you're looking at the
I
banners,
remember.
for
No
Genshin,
depth
the
to 'em in
biggest
Genshin.
driving
I
factor
remember.
is unit viability over fan service.
Okay.
The banners that pulled in the least only support that. Yay, Miko's third rerun and Zhao's fourth. Seriously. Yay, Miko at the bottom. Fucking yay, Miko. Homie,
Yeah.
someone who has never heard the words Genshin Impact in their life probably saw lewds of this motherfucker.
Absolutely.
Yet she's dead at the bottom.
Never
So
seen
the
her.
repaid banners do have a trend of generating
Never
less
seen
like
her.
Zhongli, despite all the controversy on
third
his
and fourth
initial
rerun,
release
man.
banner, pulled in less for his rerun, which was after he was proven to be a really strong unit. Now, the timing of EA's banner wasn't exactly the most ideal either, but even with that being the case, Jesus Christ, this pulled in less than Kaching's banner. And aside from that, Ye's release banner didn't exactly shatter expectations. Then there's Eula's second rerunning.
Yeah, but the other thing is that banner that you just showed is Yay Miko standalone, right? And that outsold Kazuha by nearly 50%.
Alright.
And Kazuha is one of the most meta viable units in the entire game. So I think it's very ignorant to act like the AI Miko didn't sell well. She sold amazing. She doubled the sales of Kokomi as well.
Klee's third rerun. Chill Day's rerun, I refuse to call him
I
child.
have no idea what they're yapping
Klee's
about,
rerun,
by
Kokomi's first
the way.
fucking banner.
No idea.
Did Genshin's take on Vaporeon fucking raw. And sure enough, looking at
The only
bottom,
thing that I'm
all of
hearing right now is Genshin is making a shit ton of money. That's the only thing that I'm hearing. Genshin makes money. That's it.
these units are not meta. Kokomi aside, but once she dropped, damn near everyone treated getting her as the equivalent to taking a fucking sledgehammer and doing core workouts on your account. People say she's godlike now, possibly leading to her rerun with Raiden pulling in 33
Yeah, I
million,
heard that too.
but
Good
when
for
she
her.
dropped, she was slandered more than Amber. Though I do know that saying a unit in Genshin isn't meta.
First of all, Amber was not slandered. She was just so bad that whenever you talked about her, it seemed like slander because she's the fucking worst unit in the entire goddamn game. I mean, she has an AoE taunt that explodes after, and the units that are AoE taunted might not get hit by the explode. That is an inherent character kit flaw, and you cannot convince me otherwise.
Meta is a little weird.
Okay.
As Genshin is in a perpetual loop of new character drops, people glaze them like Jesus resurrected, 2 weeks pass, they're now the shittiest thing in existence. Then over time they get power crept by another character, but due to how the elemental system works, the
Your
character
mic's a
can be
little
used
low.
in any team
Just turn
comp
your
and they'll
volume up.
find a way to be viable. However, with that being
Okay.
the case, I'd still say most of these units are not considered to be that strong. Zhongli and Kokomi aside, but I feel the circumstances around those times are different. But looking at the graph, the bottom of banner revenue correlates with the bottom of unit viability. And again, yes, all of these units are still perfectly usable. Hell, it's Genshin. A chewed up piece of tree bark is still viable, but they are not at the top of the meta is the point I'm making. So in Genshin, I think a unit being strong is what mainly drives the revenue of their banner. Fan service is a secondary thing, as surprising as that is to say. I mean, look at Klee. On release, touted as the best pyro DPS, 22 million. Helps, she was a second limited banner of the game, but I don't think that's the only reason it got 22 million. Then Hu Tao gets dropped, power creeps Klee. Klee has a rerun, 7 million. Now this logic would also explain why Ayaka's and Kokomi's rerun pulled in more than their first release.
It's crazy that Genshin was so basic that Klee was actually fucking busted upon release. I remember had to release a video called Klee's Not Bad, You're Fucking Bad because people couldn't play her correctly. And then I realized I never want to try hard playing a character ever again. And then I never did, and I C6'd everything. It was awesome.
As many people got to know their meta viability after their first drop. Also explain why Eula's second rerun didn't pull in that much revenue. It was set up to do really well. I mean, her first rerun and the second had damn near 2 years in between. So anyone who really wanted Eula over the course of a year and a half would have had to roll on that banner. And in terms of fan service, I'ma just say it. Eula has more cake than the fucking whole Cake Island arc from One Piece. Hell, she has almost as much art made for her as Ayaka has, so she's definitely got fans. Yet her rerun that was done a year and a half after her first release scored second.
I'm guessing the art is everywhere, right?
Any favors, but dog, that dual
everywhere
generated half of what her original banner did. And
sure, but also
Eula asks, is that good?
Eula's second rerun and a Klee third rerun.
Oh my god.
That were at that point notoriously fucking horrific.
Bro.
Right? Like fan service can only get you so far.
Obviously, many people think Eula is not a good character anymore. On her release, people said she was good, but as the meta progressed and physical just got ignored, she slowly faded into obscurity. All of this is why I think in Genshin, the meta generates more pulls than fan service. Because if Eula's banner did that bad despite, you know, then I can't really say fan service is the biggest driving force. Shit, look at Dehya. Great story, great character, looks amazing, generated less than Ito.
Well, the problem that this guy's giving is acting like Eula is a heavy fan service character. Brother, whether you want to admit it or not, that character is fully fucking clothed. Okay? Now, I guarantee you, if Hoyoverse were to release a skin that put Eula or Ganyu or Raiden Shogun in a fucking bikini, that's fan service. A cute character, in my opinion, does not equate to fan service. A lewd character equates to fan service. My opinion.
On a dual banner. No favors were done with us knowing she'd be
I can kind of agree with that.
After, but let's be real. The main reason she didn't generate that much is because she is trash gameplay wise.
Like if you want to see looted characters, talk about Zone Zero, brother.
For the gameplay. So in Genshin's case, I don't think you can say that the game survives by just fan service. Don't get it twisted. The game definitely relies on that, and the player base
no, I don't think anybody's saying that whatsoever.
Does go insane for realistically any character with a pulse. Maybe even some without a pulse. But I'd say despite a lot of Genshin fans being outspoken in some regards, the game doesn't inherently rely on fan service to sell. Outspoken in
one person went on a rant of 300 tweets. Genshin fans. Alright.
Pulse. But I'd say despite a lot of Genshin fans
Yeah, I wonder
being
why I'm not playing Genshin.
outspoken in some regards, the game doesn't inherently
No
rely
idea.
on fan service to sell characters. Now,
Okay.
the motherfuckers look good, but Genshin ain't at the level of Zenless Zone Zero.
Yeah, of
There's
course.
layers to this shit.
Yeah.
Though even with the allegations against Genshin players, it seems like they will spend
I
more
have
for
no
a unit
idea.
that's meta viable. However,
He's just
fan
a
service
fan,
can't have
man.
a notable
He's a
strength
Genshin
than
player.
Zenless. After all, Riot
They are a Genshin player,
33
sorry.
million.
They are a Genshin
Then
player.
you look at one of the best characters in the game, Nuvalet.
Okay.
13 million. Now there is more to expand upon here, but I'd say in Genshin, unit viability does trump fan service for sales. However, fan service still has notable help. But now I'm gonna move to a game that I'd say really popped off due to fan service. That game being Blue Archive. And yes, I will be making a shit ton of Blue Archive jokes.
Well, this. Oh Jesus! All right. Well, this is just
Blue what?
I cannot help myself.
Archive?
I'm not sorry. But the Honeypot game dropped in Japan a smidge before Uma Musume. Now, in case you don't know,
Blue
that
Archive,
got so
yep,
popular
okay,
as
got
fuck
it, saw it,
in
read
Japan.
it.
That made it so Blue Archive was
PDF
looking late.
game,
The game wasn't
oh
doing
my
too well. Uma
God.
Musume popping off made most people just ignore Blue Archive, and at the time, the game itself wasn't the most solid. Then one event changed everything.
Oh,
They
man.
did something that would revitalize the game and make people fall in love with it. They released Bunny Girl units.
Yep, and I don't give a fuck what you say. This character is hot as fuck. Like, this character is absurd.
All characters
This
are
shit
15
is
years old.
wild,
Oh my god.
Like, why the fuck they ain't doing this shit for Genshin? All right, they tried to assassinate the CEO. Listen, man.
That's
you cannot
crazy.
Convince me that ain't an adult. That bitch is fine as fuck.
I'm not even fucking around. This is what saved the game. This shit released and every single
yeah.
artist woke up like a damn sleeper agent and decided to draw these characters in their bunny girl outfits.
Yep.
So if you went on pics of Twitter, dog, anything that held the capacity to display an image, hell, your damn fax machine too,
Oh my
you saw
God.
these characters during that time.
Oh,
Hell,
yeah.
I saw their art before I even knew what in the hell a Blue Archive was. For a point of comparison, think about how popular
Holy
Eliane
fuck.
is. Think of how many arts you have seen of her using the fucking bondage strings. So on pics of there are 7,000.
Wait.
Think of how the hell a Blue Archive was. For a point of comparison, think about how popular
Holy
Eliane
fuck.
is. Think of how many arts you have seen of her using the
Don't
fucking
know.
bondage strings. So on pics
Don't know
of there
her
are
at all.
7,000 artworks of Eliane. Now in terms of artworks, just about the Bunny Chaser event,
7.5k
about the individual
works, okay.
characters,
7.6
just about that
nearly.
specific Bunny Girl event, there is almost 12,000. Meanwhile,
God.
That's for Yelan.
event
Okay, wait a
is
minute.
almost-
So that's from Yelan in Genshin. Okay, so Yelan in Genshin has 7.6k works. Okay. 13k. Okay, I don't know why he's saying 12,000. This is 13. Okay, this is 13,000.
12,000. Meanwhile,
God
Hutab has
damn.
18,000.
This is 20k. Okay. Hu Tao. Okay. Tao. Hu Tao. Okay. I'm butchering everything, but it's fine.
Artworks. That one event generated 2/3 of the art of one of Genshin's most popular characters.
Yep.
And hell, Asuna herself has 16,000
Oh, wow.
artworks. The popularity of the
Holy
Bunny Girls
shit.
game Blue Archive is
19.5.
in the sun. Since that event caused so many artists to draw about the game, they inadvertently promoted it, thus leading to more people knowing of it. And this was 2 months before the global release of the game, so it only served to help its global success. All the artwork was the freest and most effective way of advertising the game, but they did not gain overnight success from it. They went back and actually improved the game, just made it better after that initial burst of popularity. Fan service lit the fire for the game, but just actually making a good product is what led millions to play it, and
True.
then shortly get put on the FBI's watch list. Now let's talk about a game that has always
The FBI watch list because they're all 15. Got it. Oh my god, okay.
been known for fan service
Holy
and has
shit.
arguably lived off of it. Fate Grand Order. Though I'd say that Fate Grand Order has largely survived off of two things: the story and characters, because God knows that gameplay is not pulling its weight.
so
Across
bad.
the character
Yep.
list, I'd say a ton of them do classify as fan service, but not in the Coomer way. I mean, a fuck ton are in the Coomer way, but a lot of the fan service is mainly based around just bringing back beloved characters. For example, having Gilgamesh as a servant, beloved character. A ton of the
Yeah, I'm gonna be real, brother. If you want to act like FGO doesn't have fan service skins, you are just trolling, brother. We've all seen the Raikou Beach Summer skin. That shit is borderline pornography. That's one of the few skins I can just jerk off to in game rather than having to look that shit off offline. You are capping, brother.
The reason people want to get him is just because fans knew him from prior Fate stuff. Same idea
Okay.
goes with Arturia, Astolfo, Emiya, Kyrie, Frankenstein, Waver, Jean, the Samurai Remnant characters, Bazette, Tamamo, Mordred, Jack, Nero, anyone from Prilia, Ishtar, as she's basically just Rin with a foot fetish, and same principle with Eris, as she wasn't going to be rollable, but since everyone loved her in Babylonia, they dropped her banner a year after Babylonia's release. Point
Okay.
is, a shit ton of the cast is fan service, as players already love these motherfuckers from prior Fate stuff. They were made rollable because the players wanted them, and that's not even counting how the beloved characters get 28 altars and a goddamn minifigurine set released along with them.
Okay.
But the case of Fate Grand Order is really unique. You got a game that can heavily sustain itself off of just fan service because the IP is one of the strongest in Japan. Unless the game was literally unplayable, it was gonna do well. I mean,
Dude,
shit.
I've tried to get into Fate like at least 5 times at this point, man. I just can't.
I mean,
That shit is so painful to get into. It is brutal. Like, I started Fate Zero. I really try to hear it out. That shit bores the fuck out of me, man. Like,
Wow.
I don't know if there's like a certain point where I can get into, but like, the fight scenes are nice. Don't get me wrong. The fight scenes are nice, but like,
everything
oh my
else
God,
apparently
it's
sucks.
just
Okay.
so much. It's so much to take in it all the time. It's too much. The game or the anime? The anime. Why you started from zero? That's where I was told to start. Oh man, Fate Zero is so good. Maybe I'll give it another shot. But like,
Maybe I'll give it
damn,
another
bro,
shot.
it is
Oh my
brutal
god.
how long it takes to cook. And this is coming from the guy who enjoys season 2 of Vinland Saga. It's just rough for me, man.
On release, its combat was ass. The sprites looked like bobbleheads, and
Oh,
the
wow.
story was... It existed is the best compliment I can give. It didn't really get good until Camelot, which was a year after its initial release. And even with the game being in easily its worst state, Gilgamesh's banner pulled in 1.8 million. And for a gacha game in 2017, that was really rare to see. So Fate Grand Order could have lived off of fan service because the IP has done so much to make
Okay.
people fall in love with it. It's in a very unique spot that most other games just aren't. It pulled in 1.8 million for a game that most would agree was ass. However, with time, FGO improved. The story got better, the gameplay was semi-salvaged, and there was a ton of updates. And because of that, generating 1.8 million for the game isn't really an outlier, it's kinda normal. And that's weird to say when most gachas die in less than 4 years, whilst this is being said 7 years after the Gilgamesh banner. But the point I'm making is that with time, the game got much better, and because of that, average monthly revenue is able to dust the revenue off of a banner that had one of the most and because of that, average monthly revenue
Global user spending by year. 110 millions in 2015. 535 million in 2016. 2017, we're near the billion. We're near it. We're almost there. 2018, 1.2 billion. 2019, 1.1. Oh my god, bro. User spending by year. Holy shit. Does not include revenue from third-party Android stores in China or other regions. Oh my god. Okay, dude. Oh my god.
was
Okay.
able to dust the revenue
All
of a banner
right.
that had one of the most beloved servers
Okay.
in the entire series, paired up with 2 fan favorites as well. Now all of this is
Okay.
leading to an overall conclusion, but let's focus down Snowbreak Containment Zone. It's a third-person shooter gacha that released about 9
The
months ago.
game that
Yep, and
revolutionized
that
it
shit dated
all.
precisely when I wrote this fucking
Remember,
script.
guys, the less a game makes, the less the characters wear. If your game is failing, strip them motherfuckers down, man. Pop them titties out. Let's
Oh my
see
God.
them big ol' asses.
The style it
break,
went for in
okay.
its character design was very tactical gear, basically what you would imagine waifus would wear after enlisting for the military. Now I haven't played too much of it, but from what I've seen, it went for a more serious tone at release. And its launch revenue did really well. July brought in 1 million and August brought in 1.2 million, counting mobile revenue only, nothing from the PC port or the Steam version that
Wait, what do you mean they censored Snowbreak? The latest update says they had to censor Snowbreak? What do you mean they're censoring it? Chinese government made them censor it. A
Oh my
little
God.
bit. Forced to censor. CN cracked down on it. They did that. That's what the drama was about. You said you didn't care when it was sent to you. Really?
Oh my
and some
god.
skins became unavailable. Wait, it's censored in China or it's censored in America? But you can edit a file to remove the censor. There are videos how to uncensor already. They told players how to uncensor, and you're allowed to do it.
Oh
They
my
left a
god.
way to uncensor in the game. Oh man. Devs made it easy to reverse the censor. So you're allowed to, and you're allowed to stream it uncensored. Okay.
Giga chat developers, bro. Oh my god. Giga chat developers. Imagine. Imagine. Imagine you live in China, right? Now imagine you work in a Chinese company. Now imagine the Chinese government tells that company you need to censor your work. And you censor it and then you tell, oh my god, giga chats. Absolute giga chats. Alright.
Okay, then who cares?
It dropped a bit after launch.
Bro.
In September,
Devs.
the game only brought in 300,000.
End of service in
Still
1
a
year.
ton, but definitely a step away from when it was first brought in. Then October brought in 160,000. A reason for the revenue taken is because the character banner in September was someone you could get on the standard banner, so there wasn't too much of a reason to roll, and October didn't have too much new content. And both of these months weren't really helped by the fact the PC version played much better than mobile, so some people definitely migrated to that. But in November,
Okay.
the mobile revenue doubled, so that begs the question, what the hell was done in November? And the answer is the Coomer patch. Swimsuits released for the cast. Take Biggie's Full Moon's bunny suits. You think Azur Lane has it? The November update brought it. The game hard pivoted, intentional wording, from its original style of tactical stuff to have a ton of, well, a ton of nothing when you really break it down. And then in
Bro.
December, they released a character that,
Yeah, it's great.
yeah. Then in January for marketing, they released this, and yes, there is no added audio. It's ASMR with very heavily suspicious noises in the background. Yeah, long
Yeah,
story
she's
short, the
sucking a
game took
dick.
its identity as a tactical third-person shooter and evolved into being 3D Azur Lane. This is the most blatant Coomer patch I can think of, dog.
Yeah,
If
it's
a
awesome.
pre-stripped, bare-ass naked and
Bro.
started busting it down
What's
midway
the
through a
problem?
sermon, I view that as
Wait,
less
why
of
are
a
we
change than
complaining?
what
It's
this
great.
game did. Yo, let's leave
No
it
one
talk
is
about how
complaining,
Drake
my guy.
Valentine's, this
No
the
one
mail
is
you got from
complaining,
all the
but
Playboy
it's
girls.
still
And then the
fascinating.
final mail you got
Damn,
was
you
a-
guys went to the Honkai dark side. Bro. I just love to see a cool story develop, right? Like you're sitting there, you're making a couple of meals, then the meals stop coming by and you drop patches.
And the answer is the Coomer patch. Swimsuits
That
released
happens
for the
in
cast.
November.
Biggie's Full Moon's bunny suit.
By the way, the fact, okay, wrong time to pause, but I need, okay, I need silence. Imagine dropping swimsuits in November. Swimsuit skins in November. Okay? In November, you're dropping swimsuit skins.
There is the Coomer patch.
The
Swimsuits
Coomer
released
patch.
For the cast. Take Biggie's Full Moon's bunny suits. You think Azur Lane has it? The
No
November
one is
update brought it. The
complaining,
game
but
hard
it's still
pivoted,
like
intentional wording. From its original
in
style of
Latin
tactical
America,
stuff
it's
to have a
always
ton of-
summer.
well,
I guess
ton of
true.
nothing when you
I
really
guess
break it
true.
down. And then in December, they released a
I
character
guess
that,
true.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Then in January for marketing, they released this, and yes,
January for
there's no added
marketing.
audio. It's ASMR with very
You
heavily
you kind of
suspicious
have to.
noises in the
We
background.
only have two
Long
Yeah,
story
she's
short,
sucking a
stations
dick.
though. Rain and no rain.
Person shooter and evolved into being 3D Azur Lane.
Oh
This
my
is the
god.
most blatant Coomer patch I can think of, dog.
Yeah,
If
it's
a
awesome.
pre-stripped, bare-ass naked and started busting it down
What's
midway
the
through a
problem?
sermon, I view that as
Wait,
less
why
of
are
a
we
change than
complaining?
what
It's
this
great.
game did.
No
let's
one
not
is
even talk about
complaining.
how during
Again.
Valentine's, this is the mail you got from all the playable girls. And then the final mail you got was a message ripped from the beginning of a 40-page doujin with a fucking stamina potion attached to the mail. It does
Great.
feel like the developers made the game, saw the
Have
revenue drop,
the
and thought to
straight
themselves,
sex.
well, if we make our players hard, that shit's gotta be a nice beginning for a solid foundation. So the revenue kept at November's 300k, and in January it bounced to 500,000, which is because that's when Calla Klein dropped. In case you do not know her, this is her design. Yeah. Wonder
Okay.
why she brought in 500,000. And because
Yeah.
of the Snowbreak Containment Zone
Oh
is the most
my
accurate example
God!
of a Coomer patch being deployed to save a game. The revenue
Holy
was tanking,
fuck,
but the
I
fan
would've
service
pulled on
motivated
her if
to
I
make
knew she
it
was in the
more
game.
consistent. And within recent time, the CN revenue has jumped to 2.7 million.
Jesus!
Global at almost 1 million. Now, it is important to note that Sensor Tower's data is not exactly dead to rights. It shouldn't
Yeah.
be seen as fact. The actual truth is that these numbers are likely lower than what the games are actually
Absolutely.
bringing in.
Yep.
However,
I
still
would project that Sensor Tower is roughly 40% of their actual income.
even with that
Okay.
on the data, this to be one of the more reliable sources we have of revenue tracking. And aside from that, the popularity of the game has been steadily increasing after this different focus for it was made. Now, this also came with, on the Steam page, having a mature rating for sexual content. Can't imagine why that's the case when this is the first ad that plays on the page. So yeah, Snowbreak Containment Zone is the most accurate example of a game dipping into fan service and saving itself from that. Granted, it's maybe not necessarily a dip into fan service and instead a bath into it, but that's neither here nor there. Though even with fan service having seemingly helped the game a ton, it's still not pulling in huge numbers. If gooning was the only thing that drove the revenue, then why did Azur Lane triple this game's revenue in January? They're both fan service oriented games, so why the difference? Well, Azur Lane being out for years doesn't really help us. That means it has a way more dedicated audience.
And also keep in mind that this game's available on Steam, which is going to heavily affect the numbers on the revenue report, whereas Azure Lane's not.
But another reason is fan service cannot solely save a game. You see, after going through these examples, I've started to notice a pattern. Fan service boosts a game's popularity. Blue Archive got its time in the sun from it, now it's a huge game. Genshin had everyone on social media raving about the characters. Hell, some Genshin characters have been drawn so much to where one of them has more art made of them than an entire game. People then see the art, ask where the character is from, and then download the game. Both of those examples are fan service giving a game free advertisement. So fan service, within a large part, helped those games get popular. Fate Grand Order is an outlier, as due to its IP, everyone already knew it, so it's not that it gave the game its time in the sun, but more so that dropping characters people love just meant more money.
You're just wrong. 90% of people who discover Fate Grand Order is through the porn, and it's just undeniable.
Someone is in Techno's chat typed Overwatch 3. Oh my god, please no. Please no.
Of people who discover Fate Grand Order.
Overwatch 3. Oh wait, someone mentioned Overwatch XTD. Okay, dude. All right.
Is through the porn, and it's just undeniable. Okay, it's the same. It's the same with Toho. This is just cap. It's not because the series is that beloved. It is because the porn is rampant fucking everywhere. You can disagree. You're fucking wrong, man. You're absolutely wrong.
And in the case of Snowbreak Containment Zone, it dropped, was met with some
crazy take here, but how can I say this? Corn. Overwatch corn is what keeps the game really popular. Right? As popular as it is, it's probably because of the corn about it.
You're absolutely wrong.
And in the case of Snowbreak Containment Zone, it dropped, was met with some popularity. Players started to leave due to a lack of content. They dropped some ASMR with tongue fucking .wav playing in the background, and a shit ton of people were like, real shit? And evidently got back into the game. Fan service helped the games pop off, but you cannot survive with just fan service. The most blatant evidence of that.
That's just your experience, and yeah, you saying it's just the anime is just your experience. So you can't just say that.